what does the immediate future hold for Alabama? Like, we'll see who the next head coach is, and that's a very big variable. A lot of these guys now have a 30-day window to jump into the transfer portal with Nick Saban announcing his retirement. But what does that mean for 2024? Is Alabama just going to fall off? Is Alabama just going to, descend into the middle class of the SEC and there's a 12-team playoff? Does that further work against Alabama? We'll talk about what we expect for Alabama right now, but make sure you're subscribed right here to the On3 YouTube channel. College football every single day on this show, The Hard Count, on this platform, the On3 YouTube channel. So we appreciate y'all in advance for being dialed in. Now, let me just kind of put it simply. Here's my thesis on Alabama. In 2024, Alabama is going to be fine as it pertains to the immediate future. They're going to be fine. You look at what they have in-house, and I understand the portal may or may not impact the Crimson Tide as it pertains to what that roster could look like, but currently that roster is full of nothing but top 2 classes from the high school level. I mean, to put it simply, they got dudes. They have the creme de la creme of a roster to compete at the highest level. And so let's not kid ourselves. There's no better chef as it pertains to the college football head coaches than Nick Saban. There's no better chef in putting ingredients together than Nick Saban. But again, you look at the ingredients they have and they're top tier. A pretty good chef can still make a decent steak if you get them the best filet mignon you've ever seen in the world. All right. So what I'm trying to say here is Alabama, I don't see a world where they just somehow fall off. I also would say I don't think that we see a mass exodus through the portal. Now, I did not say we do not see anybody transfer from Alabama. But I do think that Alabama didn't just become Columbia overnight, which is, again, a lesser football program that's in a different conference that we played against in college. They didn't just become Columbia overnight because they lost Nick Saban. The brand power of Alabama, the resources of Alabama, all that Alabama football is, in large part, is what it is because of Nick Saban, but also Alabama's been Alabama for a long time here. And so what I'm trying to say here is I think, especially if they hire the right head coach, you're going to be able to retain a fair amount of that roster because of what Alabama has to offer. So will they lose some guys? You'd have to imagine with any coaching change, you're going to lose some guys. But I don't think we see a world where Alabama just fades into the abyss of irrelevancy. That to me would be extremely surprising, especially in 2024. Now, I would also say the best teams in college football are player-led. And what I mean by that is the coach essentially equips the players to be great leaders. But when you look at who Alabama still has on this roster, they got a lot of leaders coming back. Jalen Milroe coming back, leader of this football team. Malachi Moore, leader of this football team. Caleb Downs was an all-everything true freshman for them last season. You expect him to step up in a leadership role. And what I mean by this is that's going to help keep stable the standards and the culture that Nick Saban helped install into this football team throughout the time of his coaching career in Tuscaloosa. Like, those things that he taught them, they're not just going to abandon those things. One, because it's Nick Saban. Like, you're not just going to dismiss what the GOAT had to say because he's not the head coach anymore. Other part of that is they got results. Like, what you did last season following Nick Saban's leadership and buying into what he taught won you the SEC championship and got you to the college football playoff. Regardless of how you feel about Nick Saban as a player, you know what he taught you works. So you're going to stick to that, and you have guys to help keep that standard where it's supposed to be internally. So Alabama, when it comes to hiring their next head coach, can and will swing big. They can and they will swing big when it comes to who they want to go get. And the most important part of that to me is they can make a safe hire. And I don't mean safe in the derogatory sense of, oh, well, you just kind of hire the safest option and try and keep it going. No, I mean, you can go and hire someone who has a track record of winning, who has a track record of great recruiting, who has a track record of phenomenal culture. Like, all those things I think can still very much so be in place. And so I also would have to say, and Trey Kennedy just said this and he's on the money, Nick Saban, you have to believe, is going to have a fair amount of say into who they bring in to be his successor. The reason why that's important, Nick Saban's not passing the keys to somebody who's not going to be able to take care of his house. He's not going to bring in somebody who just is, caring about the wrong things and has the wrong structure or isn't ready to take the next job. Like, Nick Saban's going to make sure that they hire the right guy. And so all those things, in my mind, contribute to keeping the roster intact and to keeping Alabama right up there at the top tier of college football. And again, we keep saying college football is about having the right personnel, having the right talent. That's what gets you in the door. Well, Alabama's been in the door for a while here. And even if they lose some guys to the portal, by nature of who they've recruited over the last couple of years, only top 2 classes on campus in Tuscaloosa. So for the immediate future for Alabama, I don't expect anything different than what we've seen from them over the last couple of years. I think they'll still compete for an SEC championship. And with us going to 12 teams in the college football playoff, I'd be wildly surprised if Alabama isn't in that field when we get to it next season. Even if they don't win the SEC, I think Alabama will have a very, very real chance to be in that college football playoff. So if you're a fan of Tuscaloosa this morning, you're probably feeling a lot of emotions. Probably some sadness, some shock, probably a little bit of hurt maybe, just by nature of this thing ending before you were ready for it to end. But your football team is going to be more than fine when it comes to 2024. Now, if you're an Alabama Crimson Tide fan, I would have to imagine you have had a Saturday where you want to get to the game, you check the ticket sales or your student tickets, whatever it ends up being, and you cannot find a ticket for the life of you, or you're looking at the ticket prices and saying, there is no chance in the world I am paying that much. That is way too much. There's got to be lesser tickets available, but I don't know how to find them. Game Time has got you covered. Game Time is the place with last-minute ticket deals, lowest prices guaranteed. So if you were to find a ticket that's in like the same section or row for less than what you paid for, you're able to then credit 110% of the difference from Game Time. That's a Game Time guarantee. Also, this is a really nice feature when it comes to Game Time. They're able to show you the view from your seat before you even buy the ticket. So you're not going to have the situation where you show up to your seat, you're excited for the game, you're jacked up, you got face paint on, and you show up there, and then all of a sudden you're like, I can only see like half the game because I'm standing behind this Jumbotron. Why did I buy this ticket? If I had known, I wouldn't have bought this ticket. Again, Game Time with the view before you buy, that will not happen to you. Also worth noting, we're pivoting out of college football season. It breaks our heart here. We're still talking about college football on the show every single day. But if you want to get to some other, events, maybe you want to go to a college basketball game, maybe you want to go to a concert, a comedy show, whatever it is, Game Time has got you covered with tickets on all the events, can buy with 2 taps from your phone. So to do this in the most efficient way possible, here's what we're going to do. Snag tickets without any of the stress, can buy right before the event with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account. This is important. Use code HARDCOUNT for $20 off your first purchase. HARDCOUNT, HARDCOUNT, $20 off your first purchase. Again, terms apply. Create an account. Redeem code HARDCOUNT, $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed. But curious to hear from y'all. Again, get at us in the live chat. We'll get to those here in a minute and want to hear from y'all. But again, I think Alabama is in very, very good shape as it pertains to the future of their program. And also, I probably should have said this as well. For Alabama, if you have success in 2024, that's going to be another key building block to the new era of Alabama football. Like results, in a lot of ways, if you manage the culture the right way, equate to more results. And I think that will be the way that Alabama approaches things going forward here. Hey, y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.